Welcome back to Artist to Artist. I'm your host, Henry Blackman, and this is where artists come to showcase. Today we've got a really great show, like the others. I want to introduce you to a young man by the name of Brandon Turner. Phenomenal, fantastic artist. So let's get a chance to know him. Brandon, thanks for coming.
Appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. Brandon, how did this art thing start for you?
Man. Well, it started when I was really little. I don't really remember how old I was. I was maybe 4 or 5, and it started with me just drawing circles on the page.
There you go.
And it'll just get, thicker and thicker and thicker, and I really enjoyed it, just drawing circles.
Right.
I had a family friend of mine who knew how to draw, though. So that's where the drive kind of came from, seeing him draw, have his artwork in the church, and them recognize him. It just kind of, gave me some enthusiasm to really get into what I wanted to do, which was art. So started from circles.
Okay, started from circles.
Started from circles.
And that kind of leads me into something I saw in your bio. I understand that you're really, really into abstract art.
Yeah.
Abstract. So how did the abstract thing kind of, did you learn about it and just kind of gravitated towards it, or?
See, abstract, that's one thing. Abstract is fun. I love abstract, and I had to learn that. Well, first off, you don't learn how to do abstract.
Right.
I mean, you do, but you don't. That's such an artist answer. Let me explain. As far as abstract, you can do anything. You can put splatter on the canvas. Anything, mixed media, it could be anything, and you could call it abstract. It could, be sold or hung up as art. But I started abstract a little bit, doing just canvases with no images on them, only just paint, color, just whatever comes to mind.
Right.
And I stopped because I really enjoyed it, and I really wanted to put a lot of time into it. Now, this was right before I decided I wanted to revamp my portfolio. Okay. So as of right now, it doesn't reflect a whole lot of abstract pieces.
Sure.
But, those are on the way. I will say this, as far as my artwork now, I really like doing backgrounds, and I like to try and get creative or abstract with the background. Hence the colors in this, and even that one over there.
Okay.
So it's definitely a mountain that I can't wait to tackle, to climb, abstract.
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I could think about with abstract.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You said something earlier about growth. You're going through a period now where you're adjusting the portfolio, you're doing some new things. How important is it for, well, not just artists, but anybody to kind of step outside your box?
To step outside how important?
Yeah.
Well, it's everything. Yeah. You find your identity by stepping outside the box. Within the box is everyone else, is your impression of everyone else. So, to, I guess, find some distinction, or to find yourself even, you would step outside the box. So it's very important. It's vital. And a lot of times it'll take half of, your career to step outside the box. And it's just a matter of, you can get lost in making money, with your craft. So
That's
until
true.
you look at it a different way with a different perspective, I'd say from more of, let's say, spiritual perspective even, your craft, then you can really step outside the box or begin that process.
That word you just used, spirituality, how has it played a role in your life? I'm sure it has. But how does it, as far as art goes, how important has it been, or how have you seen it being used in your life, thus far?
Okay, I'll start off with this. All right, so as far as my artwork, it wasn't something that, all right, I've always been drawing and I've always been good at it growing up in school. So I battled with if I was going to take on art full time or if I was just going to juggle it as a hobby. Yes. So in deciding that, I had to focus. I had to figure out what I wanted to do at the end of the day. And my spiritual growth is very important in my life. Because of that, also with art, and finding a voice, you have to find who you are. You have to have a good solid view of what you want to say at least. So I felt like my spirituality had to be kind of connected with my artwork. I feel like I'm most happiest or flexible if I'm painting something that was inspired by something I would call divine, just a divine thought or inspiration, rather than just looking on Google and looking at black art and,
Right.
trying to get inspiration. So
Exactly.
how important is my spirituality? Again, I think that's definitely something that's everything when it comes to my art. All the way down to my ideas, starting my portfolio, revamping my portfolio. For example, these colors and everything, he's kind of coming, it's almost as if the light is illuminating behind him and he's materializing behind the light, or however you want to conceptualize it. But I like to play on that, just the abstract colors, and almost as if I'm trying to depict or visualize the spiritual realm, with a bunch of lights or whatever you could imagine. So,
Fantastic.
yeah, I think spirituality is very important with the craft
Absolutely.
and with my art.
Absolutely. I want to go back. Let's go back to your early years. There was another thing that I read in your bio about some of your influences, some art forms. Could you tell us about those, like Marvel and Disney, that sort of thing? How did that, affect you as a kid? And I know those were some of the same things that affected me as well as a kid.
Man, it was so amazing to be able to look at a Disney cartoon, Disney movie, and to watch, especially to see how over the years their progress. So they went from just regular cartoons to CG. In Aladdin, we caught the first glimpses of CG with the lava and the flying carpet and everything. Right. So that really caught me. But even before then, just watching cartoons for me and my brother Jeremiah, he's also an artist.
Yes.
So we would love it. We would try and draw the cartoon. We would try and draw the character, as the cartoon was going on, and then compare who's best or whatever.
Exactly.
So, but we would also watch, besides Disney, all the Disney movies.
Right.
It was definitely the Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, that was power.
Dragon Ball Z. Man, we would rush home from school just to watch Dragon Ball. Man, you saw that last time?
Absolutely.
The one thing about that cartoon, though, is the fights drug out to like 3 or 4 episodes at a time for one fight.
Like a Bruce Lee movie.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say in drawing the Dragon Ball Z caricatures, I would shade it. And I learned how to, really be neat with my shading versus out of the lines, coloring out of the lines or whatnot. And it made me focus on, even realism. In the cartoons, you don't see a gradual variance from dark to light within the shadows. You just see a line that differentiate between the dark line and the medium or the light tone. Typically, it's not blended all the way. And that's how I would shade. But I wanted to blend it. I wanted it to look real. So that, I would say Dragon Ball Z, although it's a cartoon, it pulled me into realism because I was able to kind of flex my wings and start shading. And that's what I do. It's what you do when you do graphite realism.
Absolutely.
Right.
Another thing, you describe yourself as you're a self-taught artist.
Yes, sir.
How do you even begin that process of, you start when you're young. A lot of kids start off, especially boys, drawing, and, you're comfortable with it. And then at a certain age, you're like, okay, I'm not so great with this, or you lose a little confidence. How did you keep that confidence? I grew up with a lot of guys who started off drawing, and then they just kind of went away and went to something else. And when they really could have been really good at it.
Yeah.
But where did that confidence come from to just, stick with it at Wherewithal?
Well, I'd say initially having a brother who draws,
Okay.
and I'm a very supporting mother of that. That definitely started.
That makes a difference, doesn't it?
Big difference, because we could just sit at home and entertain ourselves. And we had another brother. He does music and he draws, but he wasn't that much into visual arts.
Right.
So he would do most of the critiquing, but it was pretty cool. But I would say throughout school, man, it's because I started so young and I just enjoyed it. Right. I got good at it, and I didn't really take it serious because I was young, getting older, high school now, and it was just something I did. I was good at. Hey, I also skateboarded, so it was a lot of things that I did.
Right.
But what I did was I did go to a charter high school, North Springs High School.
Okay.
It was a magnet school when I went there, and they had an art program. And Kevin Cole, he's a familiar name.
know
He was
Kevin.
my art teacher in North Springs. Yeah, I subbed for him not too long ago, or last year at Westlake before he retired.
Before he retired. All right.
Yeah, but so yeah, he kept me going. He did. He showed me that I had potential. That I needed to, focus on or just explore if it was something that I wanted to do, which was art. And at the time, man, I felt like I didn't think this when I was younger then, but kind of just evaluating my life, my childhood. I feel like, especially in school, I feel like I was good at a lot of things, or I don't want to say everything, but a lot of things. So it was hard to choose what exactly I wanted to do. But again, art has been tugging. It's been tugging. It has not allowed me to put it down for too long. I can't, maybe let's say I go for 3 or 4 days without thinking about art. I'll wake up and be stressed on that 4th day and not know why. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, that's real.
That's good. I'm glad he was telling you because you got some good stuff over here we're going to see.
Yeah. So back to confidence. What my art teacher would do is, Mr. Cole, man, he would show me some of his checks. Now, not from the county, not from his, but it'll be from work in the city, because he has work all over, man.
Indeed.
He even showed me the news casting back in '96. I forget what day, what year, where he did portraits on the side of the Coca-Cola building, and it was huge. It was a big deal and everything. Right. So that kind of amped me up, and it's like, man, for him to be showing me his check, and his work, and to be putting extra time into showing me, that I could be, where he is in a few years.
Absolutely.
Then maybe I do have something. Yeah. And that really did keep me going. And, the fact that I always had my stuff at the end of the hall where everybody would walk in and see. So little stuff like that kept me going. It wasn't until college that I was starting to, think if I wanted to do something else.
Exactly. I remember the same thing, just kind of attempting to wonder, but getting back on track. Understand that process. Well, let me tell you what.
What's up?
We're going to, in the next few minutes, we're going to go on and take a look at your work. And you guys, this is something to see. I tell you, it's something to see. So we're going to be back in a few moments. We'll be back we're going to be getting back with Artist to Artist. Go ahead. All right. Welcome back to Artist to Artist. We've been having an artist talk with fantastic artist Brandon Turner. Brandon's going to share some of his work with us. Brandon?
Yes, thank you. This first piece we have hung up right here is called Melody at Midnight. And it's very undeniable that music is a huge inspiration. I have a few pieces that, reflect that. Hence the guitar and this little piece right here. However, what inspired this, I wanted to do a piece with just a handful of elements. It's not as many as I anticipated at first, probably because of the space, but I also wanted to use colors. I wanted to use as many colors as I could. And this was one of those abstract pieces that I began the background with no direction. Okay. I painted the canvas black, and then I threw highlights in the center. And I built on the highlights. It started to look like light illuminating from the center of the canvas. So I stuck right there. And then the trumpet came out, and it started to come out in a gold. It needed other colors like orange, just to kind of show that it was a trumpet. And from there, it looked like the trumpet was kind of showing through the background, and I really liked that. So I just started throwing on the rest of the elements, and the background already had red in it, so I put this guitar here, and it embellished on the red, and it really worked out really well. If you can't really tell looking at it through the camera, but there's also texture on this canvas where I caked up the oil paint, because this is oil and acrylic, mixed media, and I created, texture within the white, the highlight. But the overall inspiration is music. I'm a part of a band, Unknown Lyric, and playing the bass, keeps me busy within that industry. However, though, When I'm painting, all I do is listen to music. It might sound a little vain, but I listen to a lot of my music, to a lot of my brother's music, a lot of instrumental music, ultimately.
Fantastic. Brandon, real quick,
Yeah.
that piece that you just showed us, I really like the way that light and dark are playing off each other. Was that purposeful?
The light and dark?
Yeah, it's really dramatic.
Oh, right. Well, like I said, when I started it, I threw a lot of the highlights, a lot of the yellows. Didn't even have the white in it. The canvas was black. I threw a lot of the yellows in the center of the canvas. And I really just liked the way that felt.
Right.
It felt like whatever I put on top of it was going to contrast or be just as extreme as the highlights against the black was.
Okay.
All right. This next one, again, it's a music piece. Well, initially on the sketch, it was sketched out, and around the bottom it had the band on the bottom of it. And again, I created this and this around the time when I pretty much started the bass. I had just started the bass playing maybe a few months, and I was so excited about being a part of the band, you know, because he was doing open mics and traveling, contests, doing all these things. I just really wanted to be a part of it. So I allowed that to come in here. You know, I drew some speakers on there, some drums, 2 guitars. The beach setting with the sunlight is kind of what I was going for. I'm not sure what inspired that. I just felt like it needed a beach setting on here, and I put it in the background of the sketch, which was the instruments. Right. This was different, having the keys in the sky with the sun rays kind of coming from it. The sun is assumed to be behind the drum, and if you want to look at it another way, the sun could be the drum, but although we have the green border around it. But it's more like an abstract background, and honestly, this painting inspired that background. If you can look at it, how I blended the colors and used a lot of the paint strokes in there, you can tell that you can see the similarities.
Right.
The blue against the warm, just using warm colors and cool colors, it feels really good. That's the only way I can really explain it. I can't really put it into words. I just like the way it feels. And if you can find a way as an artist to balance your warms with your cools, right, you can achieve a lot.
Absolutely. And one more thing about that piece.
Yeah.
You also described yourself in your bio as a surrealist. And this painting right here really gives me that surreal feeling with the keys and floating and the guitars as you've shown us in the water. I think it perfectly describes, you know, what you said about yourself in your bio. Wonderful piece.
That's good. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. And the centerpiece right here, again, this is Jeremiah, and that's what I'm going to name the piece.
That's a tough piece, man.
Thank you. Yeah. It's my older brother. He's a year and 4 days older than I am. Birthday coming up May 19th.
All right.
His birthday is May 15th. Yeah. So he plays the acoustic guitar and encouraged me. I play the keys, but he encouraged me to, if I was going to play with them, to pick up the bass.
Right.
So again, like I said, this was around the time I was fresh with the band, and I thought it was a good marketing strategy to paint the band,
right,
have it up while the band is playing, you know, and to promote myself, my artwork,
there you go,
as well as the band.
Fantastic.
So he has a partner, the violinist. That piece is still under construction.
Okay.
It's the same size. The color scheme is going to be slightly different. I'm very excited about that. But however, this piece right here, the background with the light, I started it with the black canvas. I really like starting on a black canvas, although I've learned
that's interesting.
Starting on a white canvas, maybe with skin tone, makes it a lot easier. You know, you can pull out, you don't have to layer so much.
Okay.
You have to build color on a black canvas, unless you just put white down and then go over that.
Right.
However, I started with the black canvas, and I really like the idea of light illuminating from behind.
Okay.
And I just went in the zone. I started blasting my music. I was in my attic. I just started I wanted the blue scheme with the light blue, the dark blue, and then purple accent. So I just started going, and this is what came. And I really liked it. This was the first time I did a background where it's almost like a wash, water dripping almost, rain blue. Well, another reason why the blue is significant is because One of the meanings of blue is royalty.
Yes.
Well, purple as well, but success,
Yes.
prestige. So that's why I decided to throw blue as opposed to any other color behind them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your detail work. I know well, it's interesting how you weaved in your abstract in the background and also your realism in the forefront. Was there any struggle with that, or did it just seem to flow naturally for you?
It flowed naturally. It just felt right.
Okay.
And I want to continue that kind of like that theme where it's realism, almost surrealism in the foreground and
Right.
absolutely abstract in the background.
Fantastic. Awesome piece.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Now this piece here, it's a very simple piece. It means a whole lot more than what it might appear, you know. I'll say this.
Mysterious.
Yes. This here is, the title is Compassion.
Okay.
I have two brothers. This one here, the one we saw previously,
Yeah.
and an older brother who passed 2 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
He, like I said before, was an artist. He drew, but he wasn't as into the visual arts as, let's say, me and my second oldest. And he would always draw this design all the time. You know, he mastered it, you know, and he would draw different things with it. It was a ribbon with a heart, and it didn't have the stars on it. But shortly after he passed, I felt like I wanted to trademark it in my own way, you know, trademark that, because it was something that I held on to. I really liked the heart and the ribbon, you know, and in a way, as an artist, it's my way of immortalizing them,
Absolutely.
you know. And I want to do another piece with this heart and the ribbon, because to me now I feel like it represents him, you know, within my artwork. You know, I can go so far as to say that. The colors, again, the blues, the purple with the white, it was shortly after I did this, so I wanted to use those same colors. I really like the boldness of the blue, and what it means, like I said, prestige and success. This metallic I was playing with, this blue here, the ribbon, it pops from the background because it's a metallic blue. I use craft paint, you know, very, you know, inexpensive.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
And I was experimenting with that, and I really liked the way it turned out. But, yep, ribbon, a few stars, and, you know, it's funny, I'll spend, doesn't matter how much time I'll spend on a piece,
Right.
I can always go back and look at it like some of the ones that we just saw before, and see where I want to make some edits or changes or,
I'm with you.
or whatever. But you have to know like when to stop,
Know
when
when
it's
to
done,
stop.
no more, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'll tell
this,
you what, I know he's certainly proud of that piece. I know he's looking
Just
down
pressing.
and very proud of that piece. Yeah.
mhm.
All right. Now this piece right here.
Yeah, this third one, butterfly.
Wow. Now there's a story behind that one, I know.
Yeah, there's a story. I'll tell the truth. That it started off as just a commission,
Okay.
and it is a commission. But I felt like, well, I was excited about it because of the meaning behind it. You can imagine. I like artwork that has layers. You know, multiple dimensions of meaning to it. I feel like that's the best art. You know, if you can
Right.
find different types of meanings or symbols or whatever in the art, that way you can leave and come back and think of something else, think of something new that art represents. So for this one right here, it's called Rebirth. And black woman, butterfly, cocoon, light coming from the sky,
Right.
light representing spirituality, divinity, light from God, you know. Unfortunately, as you can see, I'm still putting the last little touch-ups. The text here, it says rebirth. This is the quote, this is the title.
Yes.
What this text is going to say is, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed, a renewing of the mind.
Oh, come on now.
So within the let's say I'm going under a little transformation. Within the revamping of my portfolio, I felt like myself had to change, my mind, the renewing of my mind. So I decided to try and reflect that and put that energy into this piece. And I was excited. I'm still excited about it. And yeah, I'm going to put some, probably some more touches on it before I make it hang ready. And yeah.
Looks all right with me.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Brandon. Welcome back to Artist to Artist. We have had the pleasure of talking with sensational artist Brandon Turner. Brandon, again, thanks for coming, and the beautiful work is just amazing. I know with talent like that, you've got something going on around town or somewhere, right?
Yes, I do, actually. I do. In August, I'm having a solo show. I actually may feature 2 or 3 other artist pieces, just 1 or 2 of their canvases. But yes, I'm having a show at Georgia State's Student Center, 55 Gilmer Street at their Atlanta location. So I'm very excited about that. Again, it starts in August. The reception date, the actual day, has not been set yet, but it will be within the first week of August. So look out for that. What you can do is you can find me and you can follow me. I'll give you my Instagram, my Instagram and my email as well. My Instagram, if you like that, it's what is it? The Art Guys _ART_GUYS. Yes, that seemed a little difficult for whatever reason. But yeah, The Art Guys _guys, plural, the S on the guys. So please follow me for my recent happenings. I also am going to be a part of a graffiti show from Georgia State as well, but that's going to be April 23rd. You can look on the Georgia State website to see their date on that. The details on that. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the August date because it's my I almost want to call it my debut.
There you go. So this is it right
here.
Yeah,
right? It's me, starting it off and getting it going. It's just the beginning for me too.
Let me ask you one more question. As far as when you're doing artwork and when you get down to those one-man shows, I remember my first one, probably about 8 or 9 years ago, and it was stressful. How you feeling?
Yeah, at first I was excited. Oh wow, I'm finally doing it. And it's at a credible location. But I'm looking at the list of pieces and then the list of empty canvases. I need to, But I'm feeling good about it because I'd like to approach it a little differently. It's because I do music as well. I just can't wait to really start working on the program itself because I'm going to play. I'd like to, especially since I'll have the band on the canvases now more than just Jeremiah. I'd like to have Jeremiah there. I'd like to have the violinist and myself and maybe open it up and give the audience something a little bit different other than just treats and wall art.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you what, Brandon, we sure appreciate you coming by Artist to Artist today.
Thank
you so much.
Yeah.
And you guys, we'll see you the next time with another fantastic artist here at Artist to Artist.